Corollas have been around since the time of the dinosaurs and is considered to be the most popular nameplate in automotive history. Toyota has sold more than 45 million examples of the Corolla since it was introduced in 1966. However, the world is moving more and more towards SUVs and crossovers, and even in Toyota's lineup, one can get a Corolla Cross Hybrid for just a bit more. So it begs the question, does the Corolla Altis Hybrid even make any sense? That's what we're here to find out. Let's do this! Hello guys, I'm Reagan and welcome back to another car review. If you're new to my channel, I hope you click that subscribe button and become part of the Reagan Strides family. If you're my subscriber already, well, you are in for a treat because finally we get to drive Toyotas outside of the dealership. Special thanks to Toyota Motor Philippines for lending us the Corolla Altis Hybrid to do this review. Corollas used to be basic, affordable options for people who are buying a car on a budget. This, along with the Mitsubishi Lancer and the Nissan Sentra, were the mainstream cars for the children of the 90s. This was the favorite family vehicle back then, although there were some tuners who would race these Corollas and even do engine swaps to add more power. However, as time marched by, the budget crown of the Corolla was inherited by the Toyota Vios, and the Corolla Altis was bumped up to become a more premium option. That premium status reflects in its price because this top-spec Corolla Altis Hybrid that we have here has a retail price of 1,610,000 Philippine pesos. Now, that's a pretty penny to pay for a Corolla, and especially the fact that we can get a Corolla Cross Hybrid for 40,000 pesos more. So it begs the question, is this thing even worth it? Well, that's what we're here to find out. The current generation Corolla Altis was introduced last 2018 and it came in two different front fascia variations. What we get here in the Philippines is called the Prestige variant, which is also sold in Europe and in China. The North American market gets the sporty variant of the Corolla. Now, the front fascia of the Altis that we get here in the Philippines is similar to the larger Toyota Camry, and I must say that this is one good-looking Corolla Altis. Now, despite being the eco-friendly Altis variant here, this hybrid has sporty written all over its front fascia. It gets bi-beam LED headlights here, some lovely LED DRLs, and a blue strip inside the headlight housing to differentiate it from its lower Altis siblings. This front bumper wouldn't really get lost in any Toyota GR vehicle, and well, it does have that hybrid vehicle look to it, but it doesn't look too weird like the Prius. Now, the Altis Hybrid also gets LED fog lights here and a couple of chrome strips on the sides of the front bumper to make it look futuristic without going overboard. Now, the side profile of the Corolla Altis Hybrid is sleek and well proportioned. I must admit, it doesn't look like an appliance on wheels in any way. Now, Toyota has made great strides to move away from its stigma as a boring car maker, and you can see it in their current design language. This top-spec Corolla Altis Hybrid has power folding side mirrors with LED turn signals, and we also have a hybrid badge right there at the side of the front fender. Now, we also get 17-inch wheels here, and these wheels are wrapped in 225/45 R17 tires. Now, these tires are wide for a set of 17s, so that should translate to better highway stability and also more grip. Now, behind those wheels, we get four-wheel disc brakes, and these brakes also regenerate energy when you're coasting. For your suspension bits, we get a MacPherson setup in the front and a double wishbone setup at the back. Ground clearance stands at a healthy 140 millimeters, which is perfectly decent for our Philippine roads. The rear end of the Altis Hybrid follows in the same design theme as the rest of Toyota's lineup. However, we do get a subtle hint of a ducktail spoiler incorporated here at the top of the trunk lid, which should aid in its aerodynamics. Now, the Corolla Altis Hybrid also gets LED taillights here and even a brushed chrome finish underneath the taillights that connect all the way to the center of your trunk lid. Now, this adds more of that premium factor to this Corolla Altis Hybrid. Now, we also have a hybrid badge here which tells everybody behind you that you are an eco-warrior, and the rear bumper also has some indentations on the side and at the bottom part for some sporty flavor. Now, when you pop open the trunk, you'll get 470 liters of trunk capacity, which is not the class leader, but it's definitely usable. How usable is it? Well, we have our medium-sized luggage here, and as you can see, it easily swallows my medium-sized luggage, and you can put a second one beside it. Now, there's still some more space on the sides and on the top for smaller items, but if you need more space than 470 liters can allow, well, the back seats can also fold down, and that should help you accommodate larger and taller stuff. Now, Toyota has been making hybrid engines since man invented the wheel. That's a joke, by the way. But it's safe to say, guys, that this hybrid motor is as bulletproof as Superman. Now, this is the same engine that's found in the Toyota Prius, which is a 1.8-liter 4-cylinder gasoline engine that is paired to an Atkinson cycle electric motor. Now, the combined output of this engine stands at 121 horsepower and 142 Newton meters of torque. Now, since this is a fuel-efficient vehicle, it's a hybrid vehicle, the transmission that's paired to this engine is a CVT for maximum fuel efficiency. And speaking of fuel efficiency, guys, how does gassing up once a month at the pump for a daily driver sound to you? Yeah, that's exactly what you're gonna do with the Corolla Altis Hybrid, because when I took this out for a city drive, it was able to give me 19 kilometers per liter in the city. And I was even in normal mode, and I wasn't even in eco mode at that time. Now, I went up to the highway, and on the highway, this Corolla Altis Hybrid can return 27 kilometers per liter, again in normal mode. Now, most of you know that I love fast cars, and this Corolla Altis Hybrid has a power mode, and of course, I tried that power mode. And in power mode, in the city, I was surprised because the city fuel economy still stood at 19 kilometers per liter. There wasn't any change at all despite having more power on tap. But on the highway in power mode, the fuel economy dropped down to 17 kilometers per liter, and some of you might be confused about that, but that's mainly because on the highway at constant high speed of 90 kilometers per hour, well, both the gasoline and electric motor were always running to give me the juice. The Corolla Altis Hybrid's cabin is simple at best. Toyota only gives you what you need and does away with the other frivolities or palabok in Filipino. Now, having said that, guys, it's simple, but it's not cheap. Because in fact, I was quite surprised here because we get a lot of leather material. Now, granted, this is synthetic leather, but given the eco-friendly nature of the Corolla Altis Hybrid, well, it goes with the theme of this vehicle. Now, this is pretty similar to like Mazda, where there is beauty in simplicity. Now, having said that, guys, well, the seats are all wrapped in this synthetic leather or pleather, and the driver's seat even gets power adjustments, but the front passenger has to make do with manual adjustability. Now, the steering wheel is also wrapped in the same leather material, and I love that it is in fact softer than the leather that we get in the steering wheels of, let's say, the Toyota Hilux or the Toyota Fortuner. We also have hands-free buttons here for connectivity and some buttons for your Toyota Safety Sense suite. You see, the Corolla Altis Hybrid is one of the few Toyota models in the country that gets Toyota's Safety Sense Suite system, which includes pre-collision alert. It also comes with a lane tracing and lane departure alert, auto high beam, and I believe adaptive cruise control, if I'm not mistaken. So that's on top of the other safety bits that this Corolla Altis Hybrid gets, and you could see that listed here. Now, this steering wheel also adjusts for tilt, and it also telescopes, guys. So couple that with a power adjustable driver's seat, and you can find the perfect driving position in no time. Now, when you look at the instrument gauge cluster of the Corolla Altis Hybrid, you get a 7-inch multi-information display in the middle, and it's colored, it's nicely colored, and it displays your vital vehicle information. Now, aside from that, it also gets the speedometer right there in the center, but we don't really get a tachometer here. Being a hybrid vehicle, the Corolla Altis Hybrid gets a meter where it shows you whether you're charging the battery, you're in eco mode, or if you're sending it in the power band. Now, we also have a fuel gauge here because being a hybrid, well, you still have to gas up, but given the fuel efficiency of this vehicle, well, you'd probably be gassing up, as I mentioned, around once a month only. Now, the infotainment system of the Corolla Altis Hybrid is, this is the bummer section because it gets, well, a pretty decent 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system. However, the way Toyota executed this, they have a large frame surrounding this 8-inch touchscreen, which is, I don't know, guys, it really looks quite tacky to me. I mean, this could have been executed much better, could have been integrated into the dashboard much better. But the good thing here is the way it's angled, you don't get any glare on the screen. So the screen is quite usable. Now, we also get a smartphone mirroring here via T-Link. That's not Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but at least you get smartphone mirroring. We also have the image of your reverse camera here. Image quality is pretty decent and it's also quite usable. Now, when you go down from your infotainment system, we also have a fully automatic climate control system here, and of course a push start button that is colored blue because, well, it's an eco-friendly vehicle. And when you go further down, you have your gear shifter, and we have 3 buttons here that shows you the button for EV mode, or electric vehicle mode, where if you're a teenager and you want to sneak out of the house, you could just toggle EV mode and the car will move and drive silent as a cat. Now, beside that, you have your traction control off button, and you have a drive mode for changing between eco, normal, and power mode. Now, as I mentioned, even if you're in power mode, the fuel efficiency penalty is not really that bad. So in my case, I've been driving around always in power mode, guys. Now, we also have an electronic parking brake here with an auto hold feature and a couple of cup holders that even comes with a blue ring at the bottom part, just to show you that you are in an eco-friendly vehicle. Now, the cup holders we will subject to our clean canteen test. So you can see this is my clean canteen. Boom! It perfectly passes my clean canteen test, and that is great, guys. I love that because, yeah, that shows you the usability of these cup holders. Now, I'm really surprised, as I mentioned, that we are surrounded with a lot of these pleather material. We have a leather wrapped dashboard. The top of the dashboard, even the middle part, are all soft touch materials. We only have some plastic at the bottom part of the dashboard. Even the door cards are also wrapped in soft touch material, and that is a really pleasant surprise coming from this, well, Toyota Corolla Altis Hybrid. Now, having said that, guys, the cabin is a little bit on the business side, on the dark side even, because it's all mostly grays and blacks here. We do get some splashes of color because we have some matte aluminum strips and finishes and some glossy piano black finishes. But overall, it's really straightforward business black for this Corolla Altis Hybrid. Now, having said that, guys, the fit and finish though of the Corolla Altis Hybrid's cabin, well, it's pretty much expected from any Toyota, and that means the fit and finish, it's fantastic. The back seat of the Corolla Altis Hybrid is mounted a little bit higher up, such that your sitting position would feel like you're sitting at the back seat of a crossover. Now, I'm 5'6", guys, and this is my driving position. And as you can see, I still got a good 8 inches of knee room here and around 3 inches of headroom. 3 average size Asians will fit quite easily here at the back seat. And since the seat itself is not really that contoured, it's almost like a bench, the guy in the middle will be quite comfortable sitting right there between like 2 dudes. Now, when it comes to toys, the Corolla Altis Hybrid has a couple of rear AC vents here, a center armrest with 2 cup holders, and we also have a rear sunshade, which we first saw in the Toyota Camry, and I'm happy to see that they've also included that now in this top-spec Corolla Altis Hybrid. However, we don't really get any charging ports here at the back, but I don't really see that as a problem because most people who would be buying and driving this thing would be doing just that, driving this thing, and they'll be up front. And speaking of drive, guys, it's now time to take this Corolla Altis Hybrid out on the open road. Alright guys, so we're now driving the Corolla Altis Hybrid, and first up, the visibility. Well, this has a pretty decent level of visibility for a compact sedan. The dashboard is mounted quite low, which means that forward visibility is pretty decent. I also love the fact that we have a small, tiny windows towards the A-pillar, so that means that my blind spots there are also minimized. However, I also noted that the hood is nowhere in sight. I couldn't really see the hood, or maybe I'm just a short person, a short driver, but yeah, I'm really thankful that this thing has front parking sensors, because that way I would avoid getting a bump in front because I couldn't really see where the hood ends. Now when it comes to acceleration, as you can see, we are accelerating up this entry ramp going into our freeway, our skyway, and in power mode, this Altis Hybrid could acquit itself perfectly well. Now, of course, this is still a CVT vehicle, and as such, we still get that rubber band effect that is normally found in CVT cars. But when it comes to the straight line acceleration, yeah, despite being a hybrid, this Corolla Altis Hybrid will not be left behind, especially when you're entering a highway like what we're doing now. Now, when it comes to comfort, the air conditioning system of the Corolla Altis Hybrid is really good. We have a very cold air conditioning system here, which is a big plus, especially since we live in a hot tropical country. Now, when it comes to the seats though, the seats are firm. These are borderline econo seats, in fact, when it comes to the firmness, and I'm quite surprised with that because normally Toyota would have some really comfortable seats, but that's not the case here in the Corolla Altis Hybrid. I also don't get too much lumbar support here, so yeah, it might be a bit of a challenge, especially when you take this out on a long drive. However, when you look at the entire layout of this thing, I mean, there is that familiar Toyota feeling here inside the cabin of the Corolla Altis Hybrid. This is one of the most technologically advanced Toyotas that you can get in the local market, being a hybrid vehicle, but there's really, you don't really need to have a PhD in order to operate this thing. Despite the hybrid system, everything is straightforward, everything is laid out quite simply, quite easily, and anybody with anybody could drive this thing. It's really that straightforward to drive. Now, the Corolla Altis Hybrid has 3 drive modes, as I mentioned. We've got Eco mode, Normal, and Power mode. Now, when you toggle into Eco mode, the whole driving character of this car becomes slow and sluggish as it tries to maximize on its fuel efficiency. However, when you go up to Power mode, it drives like a regular gasoline CVT vehicle. Well, because we've got enough acceleration, we've got all 121 horses on tap. So we've got a good level of driving performance as far as CVTs go. In normal mode, well, it kind of feels like an electric vehicle when you're driving around in the city, because you really won't hear the gasoline engine because it tries to stay in EV mode as much as possible. But when you're on the highway in normal mode, like what we're in now, well, you're gonna hear some of that gasoline motor, because you have to maintain a higher speed, a higher constant speed here on the highway. Now, the steering feel is surprisingly good. We've got a good amount of heft built into this electric power assist system, and I was quite mildly surprised, in fact, that the steering response and the turn-in is pretty sharp. I mean, I didn't expect that from an eco-friendly vehicle, but Toyota managed to tune the Corolla Altis Hybrid's steering with enough sportiness to make it, acceptable in my book. Now in terms of handling character though, the Corolla Altis Hybrid's handling in the corners is really more like a comfort-oriented compact sedan. It has some body lean and some body roll. It's a little bit twitchy even when it comes to the corners, to fast corners. But yeah, it's really meant to be a comfortable family cruiser than anything else. Now having said that though, the suspension comfort of the Corolla Altis Hybrid is really good. Now, you won't really feel too much of the bumps and the road imperfections inside the cabin. And for me, that actually comes in very close to, well, what this Corolla Altis Hybrid's life purpose would be. And that is to provide your family with an eco-friendly and comfortable ride every single time you get behind the wheel. The NVH levels is also quite good. Even here on the highway, I don't hear any tire noise, and the wind noise is also kept to a minimum. That should make a long drive with this thing quite comfortable when it comes to the NVH levels. Although yeah, you'll have to still contend with those firmer than usual seats that this Corolla Altis Hybrid has. Overall guys, if gassing up once a month at the pump sounds good to you, especially for a daily driver, well, this Corolla Altis Hybrid is worth every penny. It will give you that stellar fuel economy and a comfortable ride without looking weird. And that, my friends, is always a good thing. The Corolla Altis Hybrid may be the underdog in Toyota's lineup nowadays because, well, most people would just pay a bit more and get a Corolla Cross Hybrid, or maybe even opt for one of the lower variants of the Altis, or just get a Toyota Vios. And with more and more crossovers crowding into the price space of the Corolla Altis Hybrid, it really makes you wonder why this thing even exists. Well, it's simple, guys. Not everybody wants to buy a crossover, and within that subset of people, there are still some who wants to have an affordable hybrid vehicle. Now, the fact that this Corolla Altis Hybrid is cheaper than the Toyota Prius when it first came out here in the Philippines, plus it sports a sleek body style, well, that's just icing on the cake. Anyway, thanks for watching.